Thank you guys for registering and joining. Today's teaching kitchen is brain building breakfast, and we are focusing on overnight oats. So this is going to be like I'm going to say it's really short and sweet, but you guys know I love to chat and that I'm long-winded. So I'm sure I can get us to 30 minutes today. But we're going to be talking about overnight oats, what in particular about oats, and then all of the mix-ins is really good for your brain health and brain function in honor of Mental Health Month. So May is Mental Health Month. Today is overnight oats. A plug for next week, we're going to be doing brain building smoothies. So definitely be sure to join us next week, same time, same place. This is being recorded. And anybody that registers will get a link to the recording. I'll post it to my YouTube channel some later this week, hopefully by Friday. And you guys, if you registered, you should have all gotten the handouts. But when I send out the link to the recording, I'll include the handouts again as well for anybody that may have missed them. Things may look a little bit different today than usual. I'm usually at home for these teaching kitchens, but today I am in Cafe 41 in the Chicago headquarter office. So we're thinking about turning this into a little like event space, cooking class area. Hopefully toward the end of this year into next year, we can have some live cooking classes and cooking demos right here in our space. So we're just sort of, you guys are guinea pigs while we test sort of like the audio and the lighting and the recording process. So thanks for joining in today. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get started. Let's make some overnight oats. I did bring a lot of things from home because I want you guys to see like what I would be using in my own home kitchen. So we'll kind of start with, since these are overnight oats, I guess I should start with what is that exactly. So instead of hot cooked oatmeal that you like make on the spot and then eat right away while it's warm, overnight oats is basically a cold oatmeal. Instead of cooking it, you soak the dry oats in a liquid, usually a milk, and then you let them sit overnight, hence the name overnight oats, and they absorb that liquid and they soften up. So they have that texture of cooked oatmeal, but there's no cooking involved. You don't get any additional dishes dirty on the stove, no pots and pans to wash. I eat overnight oats all the time. And I'll give you a couple insider tips here. A lot of times I don't even soak them overnight. I make them in the morning and then I bring them to work and they're ready to go. Like if I mix it together at 6 or 7 in the morning, they're ready to eat by 8 or 9 in the morning. So it doesn't necessarily have to be done overnight. That's my first insider tip. And then the second one is I mix mine in a Tupperware, a plastic to-go container. And that way it's already ready to go and portable and less dishes. So I did make this yesterday. Nope, I made this morning. Do you see how the days and hours run together? So my recipe, if we can even call it that, for overnight oats is a 1-to-1 ratio of dry oats to liquid. This is like the standard that I make. I like this portion size. You can lower the portion size or increase to suit your needs. And if you find that you're using too little and you're hungry a couple hours later, you could always make it a bigger portion. But my standard for me is about 3/4 cup of dry oats. And then I added 3/4 cups of 1% cow's milk. I prefer dairy milk or cow's milk over some of the alternatives just because it is higher in protein. Soy milk has a really good amount of protein as well. A lot of our alternative plant-based milks are pretty low in protein. So just kind of to let you guys know what my standard is and what I do. And then this one also, I added in 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, and we'll talk about some of the health benefits of chia. I got a little background noise, which is okay. And I went ahead and added the chia seeds because they're really good at soaking up liquid as well. So yeah, that's kind of my standard. And then typically once it gets to this point, maybe when I'm at work, I will slice up a half a banana and slice it up in there and top it, or some strawberries, or throw in some blueberries or what have you. So that's kind of my standard, but we're gonna walk through a couple different options. We're gonna talk about all the health benefits, and we're gonna make a few different combinations today as we talk about it all. I feel like I should taste test this just to make sure I still got it, because I haven't made these in a couple months. Okay, so I'll put these to the side. So the first thing is you have a couple different choices when it comes to how you're going to mix and match your ingredients. So let's talk oats. I made mine here with old-fashioned oats, also called rolled oats. There's like 3 levels of processing in oats. So I would recommend not using instant oats. They're pretty, those are the most processed oats. You're not getting as much fiber, you're not getting as much protein. And because they cook so quickly, same thing when we're soaking them. They're gonna like soak up a lot of liquid and break down really quickly. They're not gonna retain a lot of texture. So stay away from instant oats. The second tier, which most people prefer for overnight oats, is old-fashioned or rolled oats. So these do absorb a lot of liquid, as you can see, and they do retain their texture, but I would only keep these in the refrigerator for 1 to 2 days. After that, they're gonna really kind of break down, and it's gonna become more mush, and less of that like chewy, firm texture. And then the last thing that you can do, when I'm at home, I love using steel cut oats. And steel cut oats are the least processed of all of the oats. They're a little bit higher in protein. They have really good fiber, but they are really chewy. They're not going to soak up as much of the liquid. So they'll keep in the fridge like 4 to 5 days. So they do have a little bit of a longer life before they really break down. But they are going to be like really chewy, and it might be a little liquidy, sort of like cereal and milk would be. So maybe you want to add a little bit less liquid if you're doing steel cut. But regardless of what kind of oats you choose, they're a really good source of whole grain carbohydrate. Oh, good. I'm just kind of catching up on the comments coming in. They're a really good source of whole grain carbohydrate. Your body, and in particular, when we talk about your brain function, your body runs on carbohydrates. That's the main fuel for your muscles and the primary and preferred fuel for your brain. So those carbohydrates, your body will turn anything, carbohydrates, protein, fat, once it absorbs and digests, it will metabolize and turn all of those nutrients into glucose in order to send it to your brain to fuel your brain. But eating carbohydrates makes it a little bit easier to get that fuel to your brain a little bit quicker. So that's going to help your brain and mental function feel good, and your cognitive thinking and your focus and your energy, keep it kind of high throughout the day. The other good things about oats and whole grains is that they are full of B vitamins. So B vitamins are involved in dopamine, serotonin, and melatonin production. All of these neurotransmitters contribute to feelings of well-being and feelings of happiness. They also play a role in learning and cognition and making memories. Lastly, oats contain a high amount of the amino acid tyrosine. Tyrosine works to activate dopamine in the brain. So again, this dopamine neurotransmitter, we often think about dopamine when we're talking about depression. Low dopamine is associated with a higher risk of depression. So making sure we have those dopamine neurotransmitters, a high amount activated in the brain, is good in keeping us happy and lowering our risk of depression. Okay, so oats also contain magnesium, which stimulates electrical activity in the brain and plays a role in memory and sleep. So high-level recap, your whole grain oats, not only are you getting fiber and some protein and some great carbohydrates that are going to provide you a lot of energy, you're also getting B vitamins, you're stimulating dopamine production, and you are getting your magnesium. So I'm going to make we'll make 3 different versions here with different ingredients. I brought my measuring cup, and I'm going to do a half cup of each, a half cup of oats, because I want to have plenty of room for toppings in these bowls. So let's go ahead. Now that we've talked about oats, I'm going to add a half cup here. This is also great if you, I live alone, so I can make, 2 or 3 of these in advance and take one for breakfast, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If you are preparing food for a family, I just love this because how easy was that? Scoop, scoop, scoop. And then you give one to Polly and one to Andrew and one to Zachary, and you send your kids or your family members on their way. Okay, so that is our oats. Next, we're going to talk about liquid options. So we do have a lot of options. I brought a few with me. I already talked about cow's milk and that being a really good source of protein. Soy milk, if you're looking for an alternative to dairy, maybe you're lactose intolerant, soy milk would be my second choice just because it's got a high protein content similar to cow's milk. You're getting about 8 grams per cup. Regardless of what kind of milk you're choosing, most milks are fortified with vitamin D and calcium. So even if you're choosing an alternative like almond milk, you're still getting, when we talk about milk, we talk about usually vitamin D and calcium content. So you're still getting that. It's just really that protein content that I like about cow and soy milk. You could also use, okay, let me keep talking about the nutrients. So dairy products, cow's milk and soy milk also provide B vitamins and magnesium, just like we talked about with the oats. So you're getting another brain boosting effect when you're choosing one of those options. They also provide, like I just mentioned, vitamin D. Vitamin D does play a role in our brain. So we typically think about vitamin D and needing it for strong, healthy bones, which is absolutely true. But there is growing evidence to support a relationship between having a healthy amount of vitamin D and having overall good mental health. So that could be important as well. All right, so I think for one of these, I will use almond milk. I find that almond milk texturally sometimes gets a little bit thick. More so than cow's milk, but it definitely happens in smoothies. And I find it to be a little bit less flavorful, but I know a lot of people prefer almond milk, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. The thing with nut milks is, protein. Per 1 cup, this only has 1 gram of protein. And again, when we're looking at dairy or like cow's milk or soy milk, you're getting 7 or 8 grams. So that's a pretty significant difference. Again, we do know that this is fortified with calcium and vitamin D. Magnesium and B vitamins, there's actually not a lot of information about how the magnesium content or the B vitamin content of alternative milks, almond milk, but also other milks, coconut milk, rice milk, oat milk. There's a ton of different alternatives. So there's not a lot of information out there about magnesium content or B vitamin content. Okay, so our first one is just going to be half cup of, did I do that right? Yeah, half cup of oats, half cup of almond milk. Some of the other options I have here, I love, this is called I don't know if you pronounce it kefir or kefir. If somebody does know and wants to let us know in the comments, I would appreciate that. But it's basically like a drinkable yogurt. So it's a little bit thicker than milk and a little bit thinner than yogurt. Our second one we're gonna do, again, 1-to-1 ratio. So this is gonna give us a little bit of a thicker product in the middle. If we stir it up and we find that we think it's gonna be a little too thick, we might add a little bit more of that. Or you could always thin it out with a little bit of regular thin milk. But I love this because it has beneficial probiotics, just like yogurt does. And I have some good questions that I see coming through the chat. Does it have a taste? It really tastes like yogurt. So I recommend getting, it has my name written on it because I keep some here in our refrigerator at work. And I actually, if I'm eating a bowl of cereal in the morning, Bran Flakes, there's a little plug for Bran Flakes. I usually pour this on it instead of milk. It tastes just like yogurt. This is plain unsweetened, so it tastes like plain unsweetened yogurt, which I think is really similar to like a sour cream taste. But I'll drink this with my milk. It's like rich and creamy and, gives you those beneficial probiotics, which I love, and has a good protein content, 11 grams per 1 cup. The plain unsweetened, this is non-fat, but sometimes I'll buy like a 1% or 2%. This one only has 90 calories, so the nutrition facts are right in line with milk, which is great. And then you could also add yogurt to your overnight oats. Because yogurt is thick, I would recommend adding a little extra of the liquid. So I wouldn't do, instead of a 1-to-1 ratio, I might do a 2-to-1-to-1. So that's a little bit confusing, but let's walk through it. If I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of overnight oats, I'm gonna kind of eyeball this. I'm gonna do a 1/4 cup of the yogurt, and then I'm gonna do a 1/4 cup of just regular, like thin milk. This is almond milk because that's what I have with me now. And again, I see some really good questions coming in. All of these are plain and unsweetened. I'm a really big fan of staying away from added sugars. I think it makes a really big difference in our diets, in our health, and our taste buds. We're gonna add some sugar when we add our fruits and vegetables. Let's go ahead and mix this up. Let's see. I'm gonna mix all of them. So the almond milk one, okay, it looks pretty watery right now. Ooh. But by tomorrow morning or in a couple hours, a lot of that liquid is gonna be soaked up. So you do kind of wanna see it pretty watery right now. And then our second one here is the kefir or kefir. I'm looking to see if somebody told me how to pronounce it. I love the A2 milk. It's a little bit more expensive. I see somebody wrote about it in the comments. I believe it's like ultra filtered. So it's got the lactose, it's cow's milk, but it's lactose free and it's higher in protein. It's really similar to Light Life, I think is the other popular brand. Okay, so you can see our one that we made with the kefir is a little bit thicker. So this one might turn out like more the consistency of yogurt if we let it soak for another. Fairlife, I said Light Life. Fairlife, thanks. So this will be a little thicker, kind of like yogurt when we are ready to eat it in a few hours. And then this is our one that is a 50-50 milk and yogurt. And this one is also pretty thick, but I'm not gonna add any more liquid right now. If we go to eat this in a couple of hours and it's really thick, at that point, I'll probably add a splash of almond milk or a splash of cow's milk just to thin it out to whatever consistency I want. But for now, I think this is really great. Okay. Funny how, if I can get these side by side, the difference in color in using like the almond milk and the kefir and then the yogurt. You can see a For sure, consistency difference and for sure color difference. All right, now let's talk about some things that we can add in that will have some brain boosting health benefits. Okay, so nuts and seeds are pretty common. I already let you guys know I added chia seeds to this first one. You can add these at any stage, most of them. Something like, I have a few more things that I forgot to put out. Some things you could go ahead and add at this stage that won't get like soggy. So chia seeds, for example, I went ahead and added. You could go ahead and add like flax seeds. You could go ahead and add banana. You could add your fruit at this stage. It will soak up like a little bit of the liquid and maybe get a little soggy, but if you don't mind that, that is a-okay. Okay, kefir, short E as in let. Kefir. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Kefir. That feels right. That feels good. Okay, kefir. So yeah, or you could use these all as toppings. Like walnuts, you would want them to maintain like their crunchy texture, so you might want to add that right before you eat it. I have some freeze-dried strawberries. Again, you'd want those to stay crispy, so add them right before you eat it. So this part is kind of up to you at what stage in the process that you want to add. But let's talk about some of the health benefits before we add these things. So nuts and seeds, also great source of magnesium, which we've already talked about, stimulates electrical activity in the brain. They also have omega-3s, which we all know is a healthy fat. These healthy fats are important in overall brain function, including memory and our ability to think clearly. They also, omega-3s have anti-inflammatory properties, which is great. Really good sources of omega-3s when we're talking about nuts and seeds. We have flaxseed and chia seeds and walnuts. And I brought these all from home. People love to ask me about brands. So I have Great Value, Walmart. I have Trader Joe's. Some of these things like flax and chia can be really expensive. Trader Joe's and Aldi, really affordable place to buy these kinds of things. Somebody asked, what texture does flax or chia have after soaked overnight? Great question. The flax seeds are like really crunchy when they're not soaked, and they have a tendency to like get stuck in your teeth. They're kind of like pointy. So I think these are a little bit better soaked. They do get a little bit softer, not much. You still get kind of that crispy texture. You can also get ground flaxseed, which is like ground into a powder, and that mixes in really easily. It doesn't get stuck in your teeth. Chia seeds are one that they really do change. So if you sprinkle them on top, they have a really crispy texture, sort of like a poppy seed. But if you soak them in there, it'll soak up water and gets like this gelatin-like consistency, which is really good for moving things through your digestive tract. So that is definitely like a personal preference. So omega-3s, flaxseed, chia seeds, and walnuts are good sources. If you're looking for some magnesium, I've got pumpkin seeds. Chia seeds is also a good source of magnesium. Almonds and almond butter, which I've got almond butter. If you're doing almond butter, cashew butter, or peanut butter, try to find one that has no added sugar. Just the only ingredient is almonds, which is awesome. And so yeah, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, almonds, cashews, peanuts are great sources of magnesium. Okay. I'm like, should I go ahead and add these, or should I talk about the fruits and vegetables first? I think I'll talk about fruits and vegetables. All right. So depending on what fruits you add, and when I say fruits and vegetables, primarily for these oats, it's going to be fruits. I do have a carrot. So fruits and vegetables, a lot of them have vitamin C, which is, we think of vitamin C as playing a really big role in our immune function, being an antidote to the common cold, which it does support immune function, but if you've not heard me say it before, it's not going to cure the common cold if you take a mega dose of it. But aside from its role in our immune system, Its primary role in the brain is to act as an antioxidant, and it prevents our brain cells from some of the oxidative damage that happens over time. And when we look at older adults that suffer from dementia or Alzheimer's, that's what we see, a lot of oxidative damage to brain cells. So vitamin C acts in the brain as an antioxidant and helps slow some of that aging process. Some fruits also have some great B vitamins. So bananas, oranges, I don't have an orange with me, but bananas, oranges, and papayas have some really good B vitamins. For vitamin C, we've got oranges, again, grapefruit, your citrus products. I have a kiwi with me, and then strawberries. And I actually brought some, these are freeze-dried strawberries, but the only ingredient is strawberry. So I like that, no added sugar. And then for magnesium, if we want a little magnesium from our fruit, bananas and raisins. And I think I have some raisins here. So fruits, I always say, like, it's great to get a variety of colors when we're looking at our fruits. So as you can see here, I've got yellow, orange. The inside of this is going to be like an orangey yellow. I've got green, kiwi. I've got red, strawberry. So that's really something you want to look for when you're incorporating fruits and vegetables, getting a variety of colors. Yes. Oh my gosh, is that a carrot? Somebody wrote. This is like the biggest carrot I've ever seen. I just held up. It's kind of like a telephone. This was like the smallest one that I could find. Believe it or not. You guys don't want to know what kind of stores I shop at. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up our oats with some of these. This is going to involve a little bit of chopping, a little bit of peeling. It is 12:58, so some of you guys might have to pop off at 1. But again, just as a reminder, this session will be recorded, and I'll send out the recording. But if you want to stick around, I'm going to go ahead and finish off our dishes. Okay, so first is with some like fun combinations. I'll move my cutting board so you guys can watch some of the action. And feel free to ask some questions. Everybody is muted, so you'll have to ask through the chat box. But I'm loving some of the content so far. If I missed your question, because some of them I know that I missed, if you want to re-ask it right now, I'll keep my eyes on the chat box. And if not, if you're somebody that has to hop off, I can try to answer some of these questions in the body of the email that I send out. So first one, we're going to do some bananas. I'm going to do some almond butter. And I'm going to do some freeze-dried strawberries. So it's going to be sort of like a peanut butter and jelly and banana sandwich was kind of my inspiration for this. All right. And I will also... Oh, I wondered, somebody said, can you warm them up? I think you can warm them up. I never have. I kind of like them cold. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with warming them up. Okay, so this is combination number 1. And I'll take pictures. I'll be sure to post them on Yammer later today. Yep, somebody said walnuts in the morning. I would say, yeah, anything that you think of that would be like mushy when wet. Go ahead and add in the morning, unless you don't mind that like mushiness. All right, my next one, I'm going to do a kiwi. And gosh, I haven't eaten a kiwi in so long. I almost don't remember how to slice one. Have you tried adding cocoa? Yes. Yep. Cocoa, like cocoa and banana would be really good. Again, I would look for a high quality, maybe like a dark cocoa without any added sugar, just to give you that color and that cocoa flavor. All right, kiwi in the second one, and I think I will add, where's my rag? I'm not sure what I want to add to that one yet. I'm most excited about the last one. I am inspired by carrot cake. So this is where my carrot's going to come in. I'm just going to, if you had a grater, I did not have a grater, but I would grate a carrot so that it's in like little pieces. Because this way, if it's like really thin, you don't have to cook the carrot at all. And this might be something that I do want to soften up a little bit, so it might be something I want to add the night before. Okay, I feel good about this. I'm going to add some carrot to my overnight oats. And then I thought I would do some papaya. Papaya might be good with the kiwi too. I should have brought up a bigger knife for the papaya. I'm going to put the papaya in with the kiwi because that'll be like a nice tropical flavor. Okay, that's good. So papaya and kiwi for the second one. Maybe I will sprinkle on some chia seeds. It'll kind of match really well with the seeds inside the kiwi. Do you leave the skin on papayas? I'm pretty sure that you don't. I know you guys all just watched me leave the skin on, but I did it just for the sake of time. And it does feel really, the skin on this papaya, this one is a really small one. It was called a golden papaya. It's different than a standard. The skin is soft enough to eat, but it is a little bit bitter. I don't think it's gonna hurt. I'm sure it has a lot of fiber. Okay, so we've got carrots, and then I'm gonna do, remember I said I'm channeling carrot cake. So I'm gonna do some raisins. And then I'm gonna do some, I would add some walnuts. I haven't opened this bag of walnuts yet though, so I'm gonna leave it unopened for now, and instead I'm gonna add, I have pumpkin seeds. And these are just roasted pumpkin seeds. Okay, so there I have my carrot cake overnight oats, and this one was the 50% milk and 50% yogurt. So it is pretty thick. I don't want to stir it up right now because I want to take pictures of them looking like this. But you could see it's already thickened up quite a bit. So I might end up wanting to add a little bit more liquid to this, but I can't wait to taste it. It's gonna be delicious. Here is my tropical inspired papaya kiwi chia seeds. The base has the kefir. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio of oats to kefir, which is gonna be really good, I think, with the tropical fruit, because that plain unsweetened flavor is gonna be a little tart and a little sour. It's gonna pair really nicely with that tropical fruit. And then this is my peanut butter and jelly and banana inspired, with a little bit of almond butter, no sugar added, some fresh banana, some freeze-dried strawberries. And then this one, I'm gonna have to dress up a little bit with something else, because since I made that this morning, I'll probably end up eating this one for lunch. So I'll put some toppings on that and take some pictures and let you guys know. What about cinnamon or pumpkin pie spice? Oh, absolutely. Feel free to get as creative as you want. I just focused today on some nutrients that are particular to building brain health. But you can add, the sky is the limit. You could add any kinds of seasonings and spice, any other kinds of nuts and seeds, and dry fruit or freeze-dried fruit. You could mix in like applesauce. I'm trying to think of some other things that I might put in here. I will say, to that point though, I focused on brain boosting ingredients. I do want to mention none of the things I talked about today is a magic bullet that is going to automatically get you like waking up on the right side of the bed and having a fabulous, energetic day. It's all about your overall eating pattern. So all of these items we talked about have really beneficial nutrients. So they should all be part of an overall healthy eating pattern and can be incorporated with all kinds of other foods that have a variety of other nutrients. But key ones for brain function that we talked about, just to recap, are magnesium, B vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, and then of course, make sure you're fueling your brain with some good whole grain carbohydrates to get your brain some of that glucose. All right, that kind of wraps us up for today. If there are any other questions, you guys feel free to let me know in the chat. I love a lot of the conversation that I see going on. And I'm just gonna, add quinoa. Yes, that is great. I thought about that this morning. I was thinking about next week, about smoothies. And I was like, should I tell them how you can add whole grains into a smoothie? So that'll come next week. Awesome. I'll make sure in the email, you guys always ask me for recipes. So I'll make sure that I kind of send you guys the combination. Maybe I'll give everything like a 5-star rating and let you guys know what they're like after I taste test them all. But I'm really excited to eat, and it is now a little bit after 1, which means it's my lunch break.